Oh, sorry about that. Hey, you guys, welcome to another video, another broadcast. So glad to have you guys here this wonderful evening of August the 9th, 2023. I know I haven't been live in a moment. It's because my family and I, we're actually in the process of relocating. Okay. And so there is a lot that is happening on this end and getting ready for that. So we're up all times of night at times, handling business, moving stuff around, packing things up, and doing all kinds of stuff on that end. And while at the same time, handling business, running business, and then also doing YouTube as well, handling that as well. So when I tell you this month is a so an ass, hope we're staying cool in all this heat. We trying. We're trying, but actually here in New Jersey, it's actually been on the cooler side, and it's really not that strange for New Jersey because I thought for a moment I was like, wow, it's actually feeling like fall out here a little bit. It's actually feeling like September, but then I had to remind myself. I said, August can be like this or at least in New Jersey, where it can start being cooler. And then what will happen is all of a sudden you get that right hook will remind you that, oh yeah, it's still August, by the way. So we haven't gotten it hasn't been hot, but I tell you, it's been warm enough. I was in the gym today, man, and it was warm in there. I was like, okay, y'all pay your bill this week because yeah, it's feeling kind of warm up here, warmer than normal. But anyway, you may see me sweating now because as I start running my mouth, that's usually when I start sweating a little bit. But anyway, so glad to have you guys here, and again, welcome. Really appreciate it. And today we're going to get into some one of my favorite things I like to do is I like to strategize. I like to, when you are in business, especially, you can't just run a business and say, hey, family, I just opened a business. I really hope you guys come and support me. Please come and support us. That's not a strategy. If you are running a business and you starting off, the first thing that comes out of your mouth is come out and please support us. That is not a strategy, let alone a long-term strategy, because after a while that will wane and people will move on. But when you own a business, for example, I'm just using this as an example, you got to really think, how can I make these products important, so enough to present them as important enough where people will want to buy them. You're not tricking anybody. It's just how you position things. And so then it gets into marketing and how do you present it, all that kind of stuff, right? So all of that is strategy. I have been doing that for a number of years, particularly in business, but also in life. A lot of things when we're getting ready to do something, if we're going to make a major decision or even a minor decision, I always like to step back and say, you know what? Let's reel this in a little bit. Let's kind of lay everything out on the table. I know we're very tensed up and fired up right now, but let's kind of bring this thing down a little bit and let's kind of figure out a way to strategize, if you will, so that we can move on to our destination, at least get closer to it. And so I like doing that kind of stuff, figuring things out. And honestly, I would say that is a trait that you'll find in many men. It's more of a masculine thing. You see women can do it too. Women can strategize. Let me be very clear. Okay. So don't beat me up in the chat and saying that women can't strategize. Yes, women can. But for men, that is one I believe is something that is more innate, in many of us, to look at a situation and to be able to analyze it and kind of figure out if it's something that needs to be addressed, not just going in head first and you just, but actually taking the time and trying to figure out, okay, let me get all the information. Let me get all the facts, right? Before I just jump into something. And so anyway, so that's one of my favorite things. We actually are going to do that in this broadcast this evening. Okay. So again, thank you again. Really appreciate you guys joining us. If you have not already, make sure you check out our webpage. Not by, well, you can check out mybondtube.com. That is our online video streaming platform. because we're not just here on YouTube. We are on, we have our own platform, because what we have decided long ago is we said enough of the foolishness of being being dependent on YouTube, when it comes to our information and the information that we put out. We put a lot of thought in it, and we put a lot of work behind it too. So we just grew tired of the fact that there's some powers that shouldn't be, people that you've never met, that will basically come along and say we don't like it because someone out there may find what you're saying offensive or whatever. So anyway, we got tired of that. So we said, you know what, we're gonna build our own platform, and that we did is mybondtube.com. And that's where you'll find many, many videos on there, from documentaries to movies to teachings to news items, all kinds of things. And I would say if I had to guess, I would say there's at least a couple of thousand videos on there. It could be even more. But there's more and more that are being added every day. So that's mybondtube.com. But the other website I want you to check out is Samba Tree, and that's SAMBA tree.com. That is our page that we have, where we sell all kinds of herbal products, natural products for your skin, for your body, dental, healthcare, all kinds of stuff. And my wife and I, we established this a while back as a way of not just selling products, but actually a way to educate our people. And we've done hours and hours of video content where we have, looked at all kinds of health ailments that our people suffer from, and looked up in real time what are the natural solutions to these things, and then provided that information for you. We actually do have a YouTube page for that, and that is Samba Tree. Just do a search for Samba Tree here on YouTube. We have a YouTube page for Samba Tree. You can check that out at your leisure. And I haven't uploaded anything in a minute there, but we do have quite a bit of content on there where we have done demonstrations and all that kind of stuff. And then once we kind of get settled in the next month or two, we're going to start back and uploading more and more content and all that kind of stuff over there. Okay. And then here too. So yeah, so that's what will be coming up there. So yeah, so again, the website is Samba Tree, SAMBA tree.com, and check that out when you get a chance. Okay. All right. So tonight, like I said, we're going to get into the title of this broadcast is "You Meme About Battle, About War, but you don't run to victory. You're not rushing to victory." And what we're going to do is we're going to continue the conversation that we started in that video that I did, I would say for some people, infamous video that I just did the other day regarding this whole situation that took place down in Montgomery, Alabama. All right. We here on this platform, we're going to take a much different perspective on this situation as I did in that video. Okay. And it was quite amazing to me to see a lot of I'm just going to share with you some of the observations I had just in some of the reactions I got from the video. I got quite a few reactions from people, mainly Black women, and I'll be very clear with that. And I'm mentioning that for a reason, because number one, it's true, but also too, that's just what happened. Mainly Black women who listened to that video, not listening to actually what was being said, but they were actually listening and skipping over what was actually the full content of the video. Because if you listen to the video, I started off saying that what happened, the reaction of our people down in Montgomery towards these thugs that were on this boat and going after our people and all of that, I think is commendable. And I said, quite honestly, if I was there, more than likely, I would have joined in with them. And so that's what I made crystal clear with that. But what was interesting was to hear quite a few of the reactions of people that sounded as if I didn't say that at all. Instead, it was like, well, the fact that you're criticizing anything in this moment, you are basically missing the point and you're part of the problem. And it just went over the moon. I mean, it was really something. I'm trying to see if I can. I really wish I could play this video for you, but I know if I do, YouTube is going to have a problem with it. But I did link this video on our community page. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to play the audio of it. And this is an episode from the show Boondocks. And basically, and I'm sure some of y'all may be familiar with this episode, and it was about when Obama was being elected. Now, I don't know how many of y'all remember that, okay, unless you were just born a few years ago. But I remember very clearly during that time when Obama was running for office. Let me tell you what I remember from that, okay? Number one, I remember that when he announced that he was going to run, I remember the heavy criticism that he was getting, not from white people, but it was from people, especially how she looked. I mean, because if you remember, Michelle Obama now, she's all, how she dresses and all that stuff. I mean, she's wearing designer clothes and all that kind of stuff, right? She wasn't always like that. Michelle Obama was a very plainly dressed woman. And a lot of black folks had some serious problems with that. And they were making fun of her on that. See, I remember all of this stuff. And black folks at that time weren't really digging Obama and Michelle Obama and Barack Obama. Who they were in the corner for 100% was Hillary Clinton. Now, Hillary Clinton, on the other hand, she had all the black vote at that time. But then Iowa comes up because it was assumed that when the Iowa caucuses took place, that Obama was just going to get blown out and Hillary Clinton was going to scoop it all up. But that didn't happen, did it? Because even on the news, even on social media, black folks were saying he ain't going to win. He ain't going to do it. Oh, I don't know why he's trying anyway. Him and his ugly wife, they need to take. This is from Democrat black folks that were saying this. Democrat black folks, liberal, that was saying this kind of stuff. At that time, I wasn't even, I was not Democrat. I wasn't conservative. I was somewhere kind of in the middle there, so I wasn't really pushing for anybody. And so anyway, it was really interesting to see all of this. And so what then happened was Bill Clinton said something. I forgot exactly what it was, but it was something to the effect that he said, it was something a little slick. He said, someone asked Bill Clinton, they said, well, what do you think about Barack Obama running for president? And he said something to the effect, he said, well, I think it's really awesome to see this because, just think some decades ago, he would have been, I don't know, cleaning, shoe shine boy, something. I can't remember exactly what he said. Someone can look up, on Google and you can find it up for yourself or what exactly he said. But it was something along those lines. And so anyway, Iowa came along and the Iowans, which were mostly white folks, they voted, they put all of their votes towards Obama. Then once that happened, that sent shockwaves all over America, especially towards black folks, because black folks saw that he was accepted by white people. So that means we can now accept him as our candidate. See, it goes back to this whole white acceptance thing. See, I remember all this stuff. I don't know if you have amnesia on that. I certainly do not. I remember all of this. And so I saw how black folks were then looking for a reason to pull their support away from Hillary Clinton because black folks are riding hard for Hillary Clinton. And it was when Bill Clinton said what he did, all of a sudden, black folks start jumping off of the Hillary Clinton train with a quickness and began to throw their support behind Obama. And then literally overnight, Obama became the black messiah. And it was at that point, you could not say a doggone thing about Obama. I mean, literally nothing. You couldn't question anything he was putting out there. You couldn't do anything. For me at that time, I remember very clearly because I wasn't really sold on him at all. I was actually saying, hey, listen, let's look at this man's policies. Where did this man come from? What's his record? What has he done, particularly for black folks? And when I would ask those kind of questions, you had black folks that were coming after me. I mean, hard. I mean, they were coming after me really hard. How are you asking them questions? Why you questioning? See, you part of the problem. And, why can't you just accept who he is? And why are you doing all that? You sound like these white people out here. I mean, black folks were going off on simply asking some basic questions. I didn't hate the man. I ain't saying nothing. I said, wait a minute. Just a few weeks ago, y'all were dogging this man's wife. I wasn't saying anything. This is what was happening. So anyway, so that same energy, I saw this same energy where it was going to, and if I don't know if y'all remember, there's a video here on YouTube, Maxine Waters, who was, the Congressional Black Caucus. She did it was like some kind of town hall or something she did with black folks. And she said out of her mouth, she said, we would push Obama on some of these issues, but y'all get mad if we dare ask any kind of questions about him or put any kind of expectations on him. So we pull back and don't ask him anything. Look up the video. And that's what she said. And so what it is almost as if we can work ourselves into such a frenzy on some of these things that we just throw away all the basic, let's sit down and let's calmly look at the details and let's ask some questions. And it's like we just throw that out. And what I see happening now is the same thing. So I want to play this audio real quick because, like I said, I really, really wish I could play the video for you as well, but they ain't going to let me do that. I ain't going to even try that. So I'm going to play the audio, and I think in your minds, you can pretty much get the scene here. Okay, so let me see. Hopefully I got it.
I picked the software engineering program because they pay very well. It's a fast-paced industry. The boot camp allows.
All right, let me get to this.
Who struggled to open the door for him to be president. You got all that? Right. So tell him I'm calling again about those tickets. Again.
Hey, man, I got that Obama water. Change the way you hydrate, brother. Yo, little man, hey, check it out. I got commemorative plates, 2 for $20. How many you need?
I'm cool.
Man, can you believe it? In a few days, we're gonna have a black president. Aren't you excited, little man?
Eh.
What's supposed to mean?
Just means eh.
Yo, what the deal, man? What's going on here?
Up, man? Yo, what's I asked this kid if he was excited about Obama, and he said,
He said,
Yeah, what's wrong with you? You're not excited?
Not excited?
Who ain't excited?
This little nigga right here.
Why ain't he excited?
So you don't like Obama. You want McCain to win.
I never said that.
Why ain't you like Barack Obama? He got a lovely family.
Not according to this little nigga.
He got a problem with a black president.
Boy, what's going on? What did I tell you about talking to anybody about anything?
I didn't say anything.
I don't
What's wrong with this kid? He must be
Hey,
crazy.
everybody, just crack that hole, dog. Yeah, just what the hell is going on?
All right, let me go ahead and turn this off. Hold
This
on.
little big-haired nigga hates Obama.
And I say, good for him. Leave this little boy alone. He
But this is exactly what we're seeing today. It's literally no different. In the video that we did, like I said, when we were in that video I uploaded the other day, I think it was yesterday or it was the day before. What I was doing was, in the second part of the video, it was a short video, I was saying that this is nothing. In other words, okay, there were people fighting or whatever, there was a pushback. Okay, that's good. And people were saying, that this shows that there is black unity, that we can unify against something. And I had to take great pause in that because, as someone who really takes the time and look at our history, and I'm very passionate about our history, we have pointed out on this platform numerous times where we as a people got together and did something. When I mean did something, I'm talking about building things such as legacy, not symbolism, but legacy. And so that's what I was pointing to. And the main people that got angry, they didn't get angry at the fact that I was saying I was agreeing with everything else, because everything that took place, like I said, as far as they deserved to beat down. They didn't get mad because that's what came at me. They got angry. They were getting angry at the fact that it was, okay, let's move from here to now let's enter into the strategy room and let's talk strategy. And once you started moving the conversation to that, or at least attempting to, people got angry. Because now let's talk about strategy. Because if you stay here, all it is going to be one big meme fest. And that's exactly what I said. And within 24 hours of me saying that, all you got to do is go on Twitter right now. Do a search for Montgomery, Alabama. I will tell you that just about every other post that will come up is a meme. And I had people, Dwayne, why do you always have to overthink stuff? Can't we have some fun? Can't we just enjoy the moment? I'm sorry. I thought we were in a war. Maybe I'm confused here. Maybe I didn't get the memo. Maybe I didn't get the memo. I thought we were in a war. I thought that we have a lot of our people still in prison. Yeah, some of y'all are hearing me right now, rolling your eyes, sucking your teeth. You know why? Because you don't want to hear this. But see, that means that this broadcast is not for you, because we are going to get into real strategy and what needs to happen from here. I'm not going to get into all the other stuff. It's amazing. I spent some time on social media in the last 24 plus hours. I have seen prophets coming out of the woodwork, tying this to scripture, tying this to a fulfillment of prophecy. I have seen people talking about the ancestors. I'm talking about from multiple folks. This is what the ancestors, this is what they wanted, and this is what they pushed. Not taking in perspective the real pushbacks that we did in history. When you compare it to the actual slave rebellions that took place in history, this doesn't compare on any level. Let me say that again. What took place in Montgomery does not compare in any way to the real pushbacks that we did as a people in history. And what that tells me is that many of our people, unfortunately, still have missed the great lessons that our ancestors actually did teach and demonstrate when it comes to how to wage war. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Because unfortunately, this is something that has turned and has erupted into a whole nother creature. And like I said, to the point where if you dare even question anything about it, you have a whole lot of just reckless energy that comes your way. And let me tell you something, and this gives us a good segue into something that I posted just yesterday on our community page. And give me just a moment here. Because see, for me, I'm about making sure there's some order. That's what I'm about. I don't like a lot of confusing things. I don't like stuff flying all in my face. I ain't got time for that. I like things to be uncluttered so that I can kind of get some clarity so that I can move forward. I don't like just living in the moment, so to speak. You know, there's some good points to that, but I also like to think ahead. I'm like, okay, where are we going with this? Where's this ride taking me? You understand what I'm saying? That's kind of where I am on that. Y'all just give me a moment because I need to tell somebody something right quick, okay? Give me just a moment, okay? Hold on just a moment. I apologize. I had to tell someone something. I'm sorry, y'all. I had to get my daughter. My daughter's trying to sell something, and it's on my computer. So I had to get her to communicate to this person here so she doesn't miss out on that sale. But anyway, so anyway, let's go ahead and get back. So anyway, let's see. So yeah, so we are always about solutions here. Let me tell you how serious we are about solutions on this platform as we're kind of transitioning here. And then I'm going to show you that post. Because I think there's numbers of people, you may be new to this platform. And, you know, if you're new to this platform, consider this kind of your first orientation, if you will, when it comes to how serious we are when it comes to solutions. Because see, here we do not talk. Okay, I can't speak for anybody else when it comes to their platforms and what they do versus what they don't do. We don't compare ourselves or anything like that. We simply say, okay, this is the problem and here's the solution. Okay, this is what we're about. One of the things that we have done here on this platform. Now, of course, you heard me earlier. I mentioned that we have this thing, you know, online store called Sombertree, sombertree.com, right? We did that. Okay. And then that's not just a store, but it's an educational resource where we're educating people on all kinds of things and all of that, right? We even got a separate page, just education with free resources just about that, right? Another thing we have done here is we have actually created a free library, over 100 books, where you go to it and you can download whatever. We're not charging you a dime for it. These are free books that we have gathered, we have collected, some of what we bought ourselves, and we made them available publicly so that people can get and access that. Because if we're going to do a deep dive on any kind of historical topics or things like that, we want to make sure that people have access so that you're not going to just go by a little excerpt that I'm showing you, you know, and I'm doing some playing a game with the information where I'm showing you this is the source that it came from, but you don't have access to the book. Well, we want to make sure that you have a book. So we created a library. Another thing we did is we actually created an entire network on a platform, a social media platform. And what we did was basically we put a call out for people who have specialties in various areas, such as in the medical area, in the herbal area, when it comes to education, doing home education, when it comes to law, you know, if you have any basic law backgrounds, you know what I mean? When it comes to that kind of stuff, when it comes to building or buying land, people who are farmers, that kind of thing. When I say farmers, or you raise sheep, or, you know, maybe you grow produce or things like that. We've gotten people together like that. If you're in the military, we need to pull from you some of your expertise on how to organize people. You know what I'm saying? So we actually have done the work, and there's many people that can vouch for that. Okay. And I'm going to tell you right now, it has been a lot of joy and it's been a lot of pain with that, because as you know, when you're working with your own people, you get a hodgepodge of a lot of stuff. We've had people within that, in that effort, that have come and have numbers of time have come in to try to sabotage it. And to the point where some groups, it just got so infected, we just had to cut the whole thing off. And I emphasize again, the main culprits, when it came to that, we're trying to do something positive, to trying to bring some of our people together. The main culprits, it wasn't white people. It wasn't Jewish people. It was black women. Now, on the flip, we've had black women who were the leading force in helping to put this together. So I'm not saying that it was all black women, because we also had some black men as well that were contributing in that arena too, and we had to snip them too. But I'm saying more often than not, I'm just giving you firsthand what we've experienced. There are individuals that have come our way when we talk about economic empowerment. We don't talk about just economic empowerment and say, we got to get our own business, y'all. We got to support our own selves. We have done it. We've actually got behind people who approached us and said, hey, listen, I'm trying to start a business. Can you help me out? We got behind people. Most of these people were, in fact, women that we got behind, and we helped to get the word out about their business, what they're doing, invited them to come on this platform numerous times so that people can see what they're doing, so that they can get the maximum exposure. We didn't charge them a dime. There was no kind of hookup like, okay, now we did this for you. Now you got to do this for us. I ain't looking for nothing. I just want to see you win. I want to see you succeed. And I can tell you right now, there was at least, and then what we did was there was at least several times where we set aside an entire broadcast dedicated to giving shout outs to whoever had a business. Call us right now, and you can come online right now and showcase your website, showcase your products, tell us about what you're doing so that people can know what you're doing and the word can get out. There was something that sabotaged that, though. It wasn't YouTube. It wasn't the white man. It was our people. There was at least 2 examples that I can point to where I had one individual, it was the following week, he did some video, or it was a whole video or something, basically trying to attempt to take down video on something I said or something like that. And I was like, this is like the next week. And I was like, hold on, man, hold on. You were just on my platform last week and was so excited to have the opportunity to get people to get on here so that people can hear about what you're doing. Because the truth of the matter is nobody else was really checking for them. And then we had someone else, the same thing, another individual, help constantly get the word out about what they're doing. Next thing I know, behind the scenes, I'm hearing they're doing got a whole campaign. So what do we have to do? I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm canceling all that out. I'm completely done. I'm not doing this anymore. And it's a shame because you had some good people out there who weren't about that. They really legitimately were trying and, get their stuff together, get it on and popping. But it destroyed the effort, this economic effort in trying to get other people to get their stuff, get the word out about them. See, these are the kind of conversations that people don't want to have. We want to have fun and games and talk about a chair, but when it comes to economic empowerment, we don't want to have that kind of conversation because it's not fun. Nobody wants to talk about that. A lot of our people don't. We mention it, but we don't want to talk about that. And that leads me to a whole nother thing. I'm trying to get to my point here tonight. Because like I said, we're going to go through some details tonight. But I wanted to do a video. Maybe I'll give you a preview right now. And the title of the video is, are we looking at Black Wall Street the wrong way? Because when we talk about, anytime you hear people talking about Black Wall Street, we're going to recreate Black Wall Street. We just had a player on, was it Jalen something? I can't think of his name. Who basically he's got like the highest paid contract in the NBA or something. I don't know, something like that. And the reporters asked him, what you going to do with all that money? Now it's interesting. They'll never ask a white person that, what you going to do with all that money? But when it comes to black folks, it's almost expected that we got to make sure we're taking care of everybody else. Now, we should want to do that anyway. But I find that very interesting that the same question would never be posed to a white person that's getting broke off big time. Messi, the soccer player, Messi. Messi, I can't say it right. Soccer player down in Miami. He got banked. I yet to hear any reporter say, what you going to do with all that money? Are you going to send it back to your people? Well, anyway, this fine young man in the NBA with the Boston Celtics, he said, I'm going to take the money. He said, I'm going to build a Black Wall Street in Boston because our people need opportunity on. He said all the good things, and I said, you know what? That's good. Good effort. But see, there are parts of Black Wall Street that a lot of our people look over. Because if you think that Black Wall Street was just simply a bunch of black businesses strung together, you have missed the history lesson. Because Black Wall Street was in a community. Let me say that slower for you so that you can catch it. Community. It was in a place that had a network of support. See, I can put businesses right out here behind this window right now. But if I don't have a system that those businesses are feeding into, and are helping and are where 110% of that money is going back into the community, then it's just another row of businesses. I don't know about you, but I'm getting a little bit tired of seeing every time when I hear about, oh, this is going to be Black Wall Street Day. You got 20 sisters selling candles and incense. Now, there's no shade on the people that sell that kind of stuff. That's fine. But where are the more other businesses? You can't build a community just on candles or just on incense or other stuff. It takes other things as well. And it also takes strategy. How do these things benefit the community? Do you understand what I'm saying? That's where I am when it comes to that. But it's interesting, but it also takes work and effort. And I'm going to get into that in a moment. But I want to show you this post that I just posted. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to show you, it's like 5 or 6 points that we're going to go through to get your mind thinking. And whatever you want to do with that information is completely up to you. All right? It's up to you. But I wanted to show this this page to you right quick. I'll be peeking at my notes. Anyway, let me just show you here. So just so that everybody's clear when it comes to this platform and how we move and how we do things here, okay? I'm sorry. My fan, unfortunately, I didn't turn it up high enough, but I'll figure it out. Okay, so just if you're brand new to this platform, I want to give you the rules of engagement and how we do things on this platform, okay? All right, so I said, this is something I should have posted a long time ago. I said, but here we are. I said, number one, we spend hours on each video we do to make sure that we are presenting as much accurate information as possible while providing you with the sources of anything we may mention in our discussions. Very rarely you will see us jump in front of a camera just to express a spur of the moment emotion. Our time is precious and so is yours. So the few times we do, we keep it short. So I'm not going to get up here. It's very rare. You're going to see me, y'all, I'm just in the mall here. And this woman said something to me and look at me, look at my kids and I ain't got time for that. And neither do you. It may be cute. I'm not shading people who do that. Please, I know. I'm just not that kind of person, okay? I'm not into sharing every little life moment with the world. That's just not me. You know, and it's not saying that you can't have fun. So if you're out there and you do that kind of stuff, don't feel bad about that. I'm just telling you how we are. I'm not like that. And my wife sure enough ain't like that. Okay, for sure. You know what I mean? So anyway, I said, so when someone drops a comment that does not provide any specific references that can be checked by all, but just claims, absolutely, you're going to be questioned. The automatic assumption is that you too have spent a great deal of time researching the facts that support your stance. Providing an opinion and not presenting it as a statement of fact. Providing an opinion and presenting it as a statement of fact is something that anyone should challenge. We got a lot of people out here that are stating things and you're just saying stuff. But when it comes down to, okay, what's your sources on that? People get mad. I said, so when you're asked to support your claims, it's not a personal attack. It's simply a desire to keep the conversation factual, not based on emotions. We can agree to disagree if our conclusions differ. That's kind of how we roll here. So you're not going to get bounced or blocked because you have a difference of opinion. And I'm talking about on this platform. But you will get bounced and blocked if you get messy. And if you, when challenged, if someone asks you, okay, you made a claim. Okay, where are the facts to back that up? And then your response is, well, I don't have time to do that right now. Then my response is, you do have time to walk out the door. Goodbye. That's what my response is. Because what you're not going to do is use this platform as a place where you can emote and then bounce while your comment just hangs out there And then you got other people all in their emotions and they see that and they're like, yeah, that's right. And then you start liking it and other people come in there all in their emotions. They start liking it. And then next thing you know, you got a comment that's been rated all the way up. And a lot of times people who don't look at, like a lot of us, we don't look at the video first. We may go to the comments first to make our decisions if we're going to watch the video. What then happens is now you got a comment that's been elevated off of emotions and not facts. So that's why we are very stringent when it comes to that. It's not that you have a difference of opinion. It's just that you got to make sure that you're providing the evidence to support what you stated. It's very simple. And I would expect people to do the same. We do it. We expect no different. If I came on your platform and I was like, yeah, you know what? You all lying on here. I would expect you to say, well, you know what, Dwayne, where are we lying? Tell me specifically with the time marker, where am I lying? I would expect that. I'm not going to get mad. And if I get mad and talking about you just stalling, that's all you doing, and I start going in that direction, then you need to block me. As simple as that. That's how it should work. All right. So anyway, number 2, all opinions are welcome here. However, just as we may expect pushback from those who may not agree with our opinions, you as the commenter should not expect any different if your opinion is being challenged. Do not take it personal. Chances are the voice that you are using in your head to represent disagreement on our part does not reflect the actual tone or feeling coming from this platform. I think a lot of people will be quite amazed to think that when they see me responding to someone, you probably actually think I'm yelling and I'm mad and my face is all crumbled up when I'm responding to you. When in reality, that's not what's the case is at all. There's a few people in this world I would get that angry with. And I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of y'all ain't it, because it ain't really worth that much here. Especially some of the topics we talk about. It's really not worth all of that energy. It really isn't. So whatever voice you may be using when you're reading a comment that I post, more often than not, it's probably wrong, because it's not that serious. But don't get offended when someone comes and asks you or challenge you on something that you said. If you cannot provide facts to support what you're saying, then you're going to get challenged. And if you start getting messy, you're going to be shown the door. It's plain and simple. I love peace. And you remember I was saying a few months back, I said, my number one mission for this year for myself is to protect my peace. And that's exactly what we want to do. We want everything that we got our hands on to reflect peace. If you don't have peace in your life and you just a messy person, then don't bring that here, because this is not the place for you. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, number 3, I said, if you bring smoke, you get smoke. I don't understand why that's such a hard thing. It's not hard for me. That is not a hard concept to understand. If you bring smoke, you're going to get smoke. In other words, if your comment contains any kind of personal insults of any kind to me or to any other of the commenters, don't be shocked or surprised when you get the same energy in return. We respect pretty much everyone until you lead off with a reason not to. I think most human beings abide by this rule anyway, so this should not be a problem at all. It should not be. So I don't mind when family come and they're like, well, Dwayne, you did whatever. But if I respond back, like I had one person yesterday was saying, I see a whole lot of groupthink here in this comment section. What I want to say is this, that, or whatever. And I said something like, I said, wow, you're really triggered. It was something to that effect. Why? Oh, wow. You're actually accusing me of being triggered. Wow. Okay. All of a sudden, then they get triggered again. I'm like, well, wait a minute now. You can say whatever the heck you want, but if I respond in kind, now all of a sudden you offended. So no, it doesn't work here that way. So I can't speak for any other platform, but we are going to respond. But we're not going to waste too much time with people who engage in kind of foolishness and are really not interested in moving forward. That's ultimately what we're about here. We are interested in moving forward and moving conversations forward. It's not about 100% agreement and we all got to be saying the same thing. I don't care. Okay. I had an individual just yesterday followed us for some time, and I don't know what happened, but he went off and he went out because I said, you gone. I don't have time for that. And it was all because of this whole situation, this whole thing. It's like, I'm like, bro, people literally coming at me left and right. I'm responding back to the same energy they're giving to me. I'm giving back to them. Well, I'm supposed to sit here and like Lucy, even Lucy on Charlie Brown, she ain't take that mess. You go to her booth and you go in there with some mess, she gonna give it back to you, right? You know what I'm saying? So it ain't no different here. You understand what I'm saying? So anyway, let's get back in. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you the basic plan on how we need to move forward with this whole, okay, you got your fun in, right? I've seen many memes out here, and I'm really do not want to go through that. There is, like I told y'all what was going to happen, it happened, and it's happening. It's like a meme fest, a meme contest. And I also told you, I said, I've already had people trying to compare this to something prophetic, that this is the Most High's doing, and he's going to use this to raise up people. And I mean, just literally just all over the place. But I said, try to compare it to other real movements that we've had, and then people get mad. We don't want to talk about that. We just enjoying the moment. And I understand too, some of the, you got people who maybe you live in the South. Maybe you have seen things firsthand and seeing, black folks putting hands on some white people that were clearly out of pocket. Yes, I do understand that, how that can be a rush and, and seeing, them getting something or whatever. But then what my point is once that is done, now what? That's all I'm saying. And if you cannot understand the now what portion, then this is not the conversation for you. It's not. Stay in meme land, but don't come in the adult room where we're going to be talking about strategy. And that's exactly what we're going to do now. Okay. So let me go ahead and pull up here exactly what I'm talking about. All right. I'm just going to go through it. It's very simple. Okay. So how do you move to a mindset of war? That's what we're going to talk about. How do you move to a mindset of war? Let me adjust my camera here because there's a setting here I forgot to put on here. Hold on for just a second, okay? A lot of interruptions here. I apologize. Hold on, y'all. Right here. Coming. Oh, that's much better. Okay, that's much better. Okay, I was getting dark there in a moment. I love dark, but that, woo! Sweating. I should have took that fan on. But anyway, so let's go through it. All right, what we're going to talk about tonight. Know who your enemy is. Know who your enemies are, and know your allies. Okay, we're talking about war, right? You want to get into a battle mindset so that you can win, right? We can move from where we are and move into a lifestyle of winning and victory. I'm talking about for black folks, right? You want to move into that? Are you serious? Okay, let's talk that. Let's do it. I've already started off this conversation demonstrating my own life and what we've been doing. So I'm not just talking here. I've already demonstrated many of these things, and I got a lot of room for improvement. Okay, so yours truly ain't just talking here, okay? All right, so know who your enemies are and know your allies. Second point, remove all enemy propaganda from the camp. This is going to challenge just about all of y'all. Because if you're about victory for our people, then you're going to have to be serious about all of these points here that I'm raising here. Then we got to move into education. The next thing is healthcare. Healthcare, wellness. That's the next thing. And then other infrastructure that's, I would say, is economic. All right. We'll touch on that. And all these ain't going to be long and drawn out, y'all. I'm going to be very pointed tonight. Okay. Then the next thing is defense. Developing defense. Developing defense. And if you think that I'm talking about going to gun ranges, I am not talking about that. Okay. And then the last thing is, what is the mission? And you notice that's the last thing. Because if you've seen, I didn't see the latest Top Gun. I really don't have any interest to, unless I stumble on it or something on Pluto. That's that free television thing. I'm really not trying to go out my way to see that movie. But, if I may come across it, I may watch it. I don't know. It depends on the situation. But anyway, if you watch like Top Gun, for example, you'll see these guys go through all this intensive training. And it isn't until the end that they're called in and like, okay, now here's the mission. That's the order that we're following here. Now, there may be some things here that I may be missing, whatever. That's fine. Maybe we'll touch on that on future videos. But for now, we're just going to hit these points here and we're going to discuss these, okay? All right, so let's go. All right, so know who your enemies are. We're going to be very direct here. So like I said, again, this is an adult conversation we're going to have. So I'm going to be as raw and as real as possible. Okay. Know who your enemies are. Okay. So the first thing you need to understand is, number one, black man, black woman, most of your enemies are going to look like you. Let me say that again. Most of your enemies are going to look like you. If you think for one moment that everyone that is white is your enemy, then you have already lost the war. Because most of the people that you are going to have to fight to live some type of victorious life are going to be people that are going to look just like you. This is why when I heard that actress says, I'm rooting for everyone black, let me let you in on something, and this is going to ruffle some feathers here. I'm not one of those people that's rooting for everyone black. I love my people. I love my culture. But I am not rooting for everyone black. Because guess what? Everyone that's black ain't rooting for me. And if you're honest, you will say the same thing. Everyone that's black is showing up ain't rooting for you. If that is your strategy in life, that you're going to you're already losing the war. You have to look a lot deeper than that. You're going to have to look at something called character. You're going to have to look at track record. You're going to have to look at those things. Okay? History. Those are the things that you look at. Now, of course, our preference is to work and to build with our people. That's my preference. But my mindset at the same time is not a mindset that all this room of 500 people, we all just going to go and build something. I already been down that road and I already know where that road goes, because more often than not, over half those people in that room, they will demonstrate over time that they're not with you, that they got their own things or they ain't trying to do anything. So number one, again, this is something that you're going to have to accept in your life, knowing who your enemies are. The first thing you need to understand is most of your enemies, those that are fighting against your mission in life, to live a life that's victorious, where you're winning, you're succeeding, you're moving forward, are going to be people that look like you. A lot of times it's going to be people in your own household. Don't get mad at me. Live life a little, and you'll see that. Also, know who your allies are. Allies can be anything from people who don't look like you. Maybe they don't have black skin. Maybe they got brown skin, like Hispanic. Maybe they Asian. Uh-oh, am I getting ready to say this? Am I getting ready to say this? Maybe they're white. Oh my God. Hold on now. Wait a minute. You telling me that we can work with it? Yes. Because see, here's the thing. See, don't get new here on social media. You already have a working relationship with white people on your work, where you work, don't you? You work, you do your job more, I would say just about everybody in here, right? Not everybody, but if you go to a 9 to 5, more often than not, the companies that you work for are owned and operated by white people. You have a working relationship with them, right? Some you get along with, others you do not. But there is a mutual benefit that both of you receive, right? So there are going to be people that you're going to come through in life that are not going to look like you. However, you have a mutual goal that you're trying to achieve. And some people are going to look black, are going to be black. There's some people going to be white. There's going to be. Now, again, I want you to have a little maturity here. I'm not pushing some rainbow coalition in a political sense. You know, I'm not talking about that. That's something totally different. I'm talking about you as an individual and you as an individual being successful in life. And there are people that are going to come your way that are going to be a benefit to you or you a benefit to them or whatever. And that's it. That's going to be all this smoke that you see on social media is just that. If you're honest enough, a lot of y'all got people that's all over the rainbow too. Do you understand what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with that. So those are the type of allies I'm talking about. So with that being said, this is why when you hear people such as like a Tariq Nasheed or some of these other people that are out here that want to put wedges between you black folks and our brothers and sisters that are in the Caribbean, in Central South America, on the continent, and saying that, you know, these tethers and that and all that kind of stuff, what it's doing is fracturing our allies that are out there, because we do have allies that are in the Caribbean. For example, we have done a lot of business with individuals that are in the Caribbean that own farms, that own a lot of land and own farms. We've done business with those individuals, and there's a mutual benefit where they sell us their produce and we distributed it. And they were very nice and kind and friendly. And, you know, we don't do business with them now because, you know, when COVID came, it just kind of busted all that up. But it was a very wonderful working relationship. We still do with other people in the Caribbean. We also have working relationship with people on the continent as well, where we're actually conducting business, real business, where there's trade and stuff that's involved. So there are things that are actually happening and been happening for a very long time with our brothers and sisters, if you will, that are, you know, that have been scattered, you know, all over the diaspora and even on the continent. So all of this noise that you're hearing on social media about, you know, immigrants, this, that, or whatever, that's why I said, if you're going to get caught up in that, that's on you. But you're missing a lot of opportunities of people who don't think like that. And they are looking for opportunities to work and connect with other people. And you could be missing out on a great deal of things, not just in business, but even in your personal life as well. So there are people all over that if you learn to work with folks, and get past them. I ain't trying to do nothing with any of these folks. I don't want to hear nothing they got to say because look at how they look. I don't care about that. I'm looking at your track record. I'm looking at what you have done, what you have produced, I'm looking at all of that. Are you a person that has a history of being shady? I don't have nothing to do with you. Are you a person if you're a person that's about business? You know what I'm saying? Now that's in a business sense, but even on a personal level, if it's something in the area of friendship, it's the same thing. I'm not going to just divulge and give people all my information and be like, hey, y'all, come over my house or you can come over my business. Listen, ain't nobody coming over this house. And we are very, very protective of who comes through these doors. I don't care what color you are. You understand what I'm saying? As should everyone be like that. Do you understand what I'm saying? You just got to, you know, in this day and age, you don't know who these folks are. You know what I mean? I ain't telling nobody nothing. You know what I mean? You got to be very close to coming through these doors. Very close. And so there are people that you can connect with where you can build good and solid relationships, even with your neighbors, regardless of what their color is. This is why I took issue with this sister that said yesterday, she said, black folks, we out here, we getting shot down like dogs in the street every day by white people. I was like, really, sis? Really? Really? I said, that's not happening. Now, are black folks getting shot down in the streets? Yes. But when you look at the facts, who's doing most of the shooting? See, we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to have that conversation. But we want to talk about this sign right here, the chair. Oh, the chair is our sign. It's the sign, the chair. Unity is coming. Anyway. But that's where people are these days. And that's why I say it's just quite amazing. But we're going to get into more of the psychology behind that too. All right. But anyway, so knowing who your allies are, knowing who your enemies are, and looking at that character is the great the bottom line on that. Knowing someone's character, getting to learn people's character. That's why I listen to some of these people out here that teach these race doctrines where they always are categorizing people that don't look like us as heathens, as Gentiles, as all of this stuff. And what they're doing is putting in people's minds that, listen, don't you do anything with these folks. Don't you talk to them, because the Most High said he going to come and he going to destroy all these people and all this stuff. And then what does that do? It keeps you in a box where you just sitting up here and you just, well, I guess ain't nobody out here but us. That's it. You need to stop listening to some of these people out here, because they give me some very bad information. Really, they are. So anyway, let's move on. Know who your enemies are. Know who your allies. Let's move on here. Remove all enemy propaganda from the camp. Do I even touch on this? Yes, I will touch on this. Let me wipe my face here for a second. And then we're going to get to it. Okay. I almost need to put some music on first before I touch on this, because I don't think many of y'all ain't even ready for that one. But we're going to have to touch on it. See, I'm about winning. I'm tired of seeing our people losing. I'm tired for false victories. I'm about seeing our people win. That's what I'm about. And I'm very serious, and I'm extremely committed to that. There are mistakes that I've made, and the lessons that I learned from that, in the process of me learning and course correcting, I'm making it a point to share it with people like yourselves and others. Hey, listen, what we were doing before, that wasn't correct. That was wrong. That was incorrect. We were working off some bad information. Let's look at this here. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. I'm going to have to pull this up. Remove all enemy propaganda from the camp. In 2023, if we are still tying our fate to the spiritualities of those that enslaved us, then you are forever doomed. Let me say that again. If you are still tying yourself to the spirituality, to the religions of those that enslaved you, then you already have lost the war, and you are not on a path of winning. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to be very clear. That doesn't mean by default you need to start clinging to African spirituality. But that's a whole nother conversation. That's an entire different conversation. But I wanted to say that so that we don't have any people jumping too far ahead on what I'm saying here. Right now, let's deal with this here. We have, if you've been following us on this platform, we have been diligently, to the best of our ability, we have been looking closely at the Bible, and not just the Bible as is, but we've also been looking at the history of the people who wrote the Bible, who put the Bible together. How did we get it? The whole nine. And we have put out a great deal of information on that to the best of our ability and have made that available to you so that you can look at it yourself. But in short, what we are concluding here is that this entire book was something that excluded us as a people. There are things in there that we can loosely tie to us, to our culture, to our history. But for the most part, no, this is something that was forced on. If your enemy has to force it on you, then that kind of tells you that it probably wasn't yours to begin with. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow, but it's true. But it's amazing to me to listen to our people out here who refer to the Bible and talk about the various judgments that are going to happen to the Gentiles. And when they say Gentiles, what they're really saying are to white people. But while they're saying all of that, they ignore the obvious elephants. And I notice I said elephants as in plural because that's how big this is. They ignore the large gang of elephants in the room of the fact that it's white people that gave you the Bible in the first place. So how can you take their text and turn it against them and say that this is actually something that we wrote and it's about you? That on no plane makes any kind of sense. It doesn't. They forced it on you. This is something they forced on you. And now in 2023, we have moved to another level where we are suggesting that somehow this book, they are the big trick, the big mystery is that they did a switcheroo. They just whitened it was really our book from the beginning. They just swatched everything out and made it and made it white to kind of throw us off. But in reality, it's about us. Where in the world do we get that logic from? Source that. Where does that come from? And we did that. We actually did. We looked at the history of these things and where this stuff comes from. And I'm going to tell you, it ain't factual. It isn't. And like I said, again, I know that may be disturbing for some people. You may get triggered, but it is what it is, family. There is no way in the world I can take Mein Kampf, for example, something that Hitler wrote, and say that, no, Hitler didn't write that. We did. It was really us. We wrote it, knowing full well that he wrote it for him and his people. So how in the world can you, again, I'm asking you, I'm being honest. Okay, we have an adult, honest, thought-provoking, hopefully quite conversation here. How can we honestly say that a book that was given or put on you by force is something that is really about their doom and about their destruction? I want you to provide for me an example in any point in history where an oppressor gave the ones that he was oppressing an entire playbook on how they are going to be destroyed. I really would like to see the evidence on that. I really would. I really would like to see that. Where they're going to give you the entire blueprint. Okay, now, slaves, we taught y'all not to read, but one day we are going to teach you to read. But here is the playbook on how we're going to be destroyed. But the trick we're going to do is we're going to change up and make it, instead of black folks, we're going to make them white. You'll never get it. It don't add up, do it? So for some of you that are a little triggered and you're kind of puzzled at what I'm saying, it's okay. I understand. But I want you to let that be your assignment, okay? Don't just stay there for tonight, okay? Put that on the bookshelf, and I do want you to ponder that, okay? I really want you to ponder that point. It ain't just anything tied to the Bible, Christianity. Same thing with Islam. Same thing with Islam. These people, likewise, they brought our people into captivity, you know, and forced them into slavery and all that kind of stuff. That's a whole nother thing, too. Same, you know, and then I got the Hebrew Israelites here, but they're tied to the Bible, to Christianity as well. That's why I say it's always funny to me to hear Hebrew Israelites say how bad Christians are, but you're using the same playbook that they're using. I don't understand that. I don't get that at all. I don't. Maybe you do. I don't. The reason, and another thing why this is so this propaganda, so in short, the propaganda that our oppressors had put in our camp in the midst of our people, not only does it have to be removed, it has to be destroyed. I'm going to let you sit on that for a while. It has to be destroyed. Because there is no way that we can expect as a people to move anywhere if we are still taking instructions from their instruction booklet. I don't understand how that's even possible. How you can actually expect a win, expect victory, and you're taking instructions from their book. How is that even possible? How is that even possible? Another thing that this thing has done to us, I'm talking about just religion and period. Just period. Now, again, for those who are, what does he believe in? I believe we do have a creator. And I believe is one creator. I do believe that. I believe he created everything that we see here and all of that. And there's a lot of things that we're going to come into understanding over time. I do believe that. So no, this is not you're not listening to an atheist, someone that don't believe in any God and we're it and that's it. I'm not there. I believe we do have a creator. That's what I stand on. So that has never changed. But we're going to have to start asking some very serious questions. And the reason why I'm spending time on this religion thing is because religion is what has kept us exactly where we are today in the same loop cycle. I'll give you another example, what religion has done. We got a lot of people. I was talking with someone yesterday. We were kind of going back and forth here for a moment. He was talking about, hey, well, listen, I don't understand. I don't know how all this stuff is going to come together. But one day, the Most High, he's just going to bring all this together. He's just going to connect all this together. So, don't worry about it, brother, because one day he's going to gather us and he's going to take us away. And honey, is all going to work out. It's all going to come together. Don't even worry about it. That's it. Well, I'm going to tell you tonight. Let me tell you something that it might be a little shocking to you to hear this. I told you this is going to be an adult conversation tonight. But let me just say this, and this is for me. This is coming from me. You know, in the Hebrew world, it teaches that, you know, there's a day coming where he is going to gather us and take us into a wilderness. Let me tell you something this day. If there's such a wilderness, I don't want to go there. Let me say that again so that you can hear me very clearly on that. If there is such a wilderness, I do not want to go there. Let me tell you why. Because if we can't demonstrate any way of working together or building something, constructing, moving forward, instead of tearing each other down at every point, what makes you think that some magical chariot is going to carry you away to this land where all of a sudden this mist is going to come over your brain and all of a sudden we're going to work together, we're going to build together, we are unified, we are one, that's it. No, I'm sorry. No. You're going to have to start demonstrating that here. Do you understand what I'm saying? And what it does is it takes away the incentive and the initiative to build with what you already have in your hands and what's accessible to you now. Because when you step back and say, honey, we ain't got to worry about any of that right now. What it does, it says, throw your hands up. We ain't got to worry about that. We ain't got to worry about cleaning this up. We ain't got to worry about building together. We ain't got to worry about building our own stuff. Because one day, honey, God, he going to take us all home anyway. And we ain't got to worry about any of that stuff. We ain't got to worry about any of that stuff, honey. Don't worry about that, honey. Because one day he just going to take us all home anyway. He going to scoop us all up and that's it. Do you understand? Let me just be clear with you. If he was to scoop up all these Negroes today, we went to a wilderness, we would tear it up and burn it down in less than a week. Let's be honest. See, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm going to be honest with y'all. You why? Because this is what's happening now. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there's no magical mist that's going to fall out of the sky and all of a sudden give you these, you're going to become a drone and you're going to be like, we are going to work together, one nation under God. Let's build together. We are family. This is something that we have been telling ourselves ever since they have allowed us to start reading the Bible. And to this day, we still continue to push things forward and use that as an excuse not to try to build and to work with the things that we already have. Do you understand what I'm saying? It just takes away the initiative away from that. Why even try, honey? Why, honey, just pray. One day heaven gonna take care of all this. He gonna change the hearts and minds of these men out here that want to be women. You ain't got to put any effort towards that. Why even bother trying to work with some of these men and some of these women out here? They're going to be crazy anyway. They're going to do what they want to do anyway. Honey, now I'm not saying don't pray for folks. I'm not saying that. But there are things that we can do, that we can invest in, where we can move things forward. But what we have done is what religion has taught us is to give up and to simply push away and think and just push it away and honey, he gonna scoop all that up. No. Even your Bible tells you what? Occupy until he comes, right? Doesn't the Bible say that? Occupy us to come. When I'm occupying a place, that means I'm controlling the narrative. Let me say that again. I'm not just existing in a place when I'm occupying it. If I'm occupying a house, that means I'm in control of what is in the house. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not just passing through. I'm in control of everything that goes in and out and what takes place in the house. So if you want to get biblical with this, let's get biblical. Occupy until he comes. We have to teach ourselves how to occupy the space that we have. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, are there roadblocks? Are there things that are there in a way? Yes, but it doesn't mean that we can't move forward. It doesn't mean that we can't win. It doesn't mean that we can't live a victorious life. It doesn't mean that. We can do that. Now, we don't need reparations for that. There are a lot of things that we can do now, right? So anyway, I don't want to belabor the point here because I want to move forward because I know that, some people, the attention span is just whatever. I get that, okay? So the propaganda has to be removed. We can't mess around with this propaganda anymore. It's got to be removed. We got to eliminate it. I'm just going to be honest with you. We got to eliminate it, family. It cannot be. We got to stop making their propaganda as if it's going to give us clear and solid direction. All you got to do is look at the history. All you got to do is look at the track record. If you look at the track record, as I've said many times before, Black folks, when it comes to church attendance, when it comes to church attendance and also prayer, in the area of prayer, there was it was a poll that was taken some time ago. Black folks in this country, I'm talking about the United States, lead everybody in the area of prayer and church attendance. if we're leading everybody in the area of prayer and church attendance, then what does that mean? That should translate into all the promises that are in the Bible that we are supposed to be walking in right now. We should be walking in that. But that ain't happening, is it? So that means we got some questions here. And so usually the answers that we give ourselves is, well, honey, we ain't praying hard enough. Well, honey, we ain't doing this enough. And, is this, that, or whatever. We give every excuse for the God we serve and saying, this is why so-and-so didn't get healed. Or this is why that ain't happened. Or this is, meanwhile, when we look at white people who are doing about half of what we're doing when it comes to the prayer closet, when it comes to church attendance, they own all the banks, they own all the hospitals, they own all the roads, they own all the communities. They doing quite well, aren't they? So it's something there that is not functioning, it's not right. So you got to look at the instruction book and then say, okay, there's something about this book, it ain't adding up for us. Well, maybe it wasn't written for us after all. You got to start asking those questions. So religion in of itself has been a danger to our people. And this is why I'm saying to you, all of our enemy propaganda, everything that they have given us and told us that we must follow, we got to leave it alone. You got to put it down. Did they include some truth in it? Absolutely. Because you cannot tell an effective lie without truth. You need some truth in order to tell an effective lie. Now, I know I'm talking to some people tonight. This is all you know. Church is all you know. Christianity is all you know. The Bible and Jesus is all you know. But I want to tell you, and then for me, for the most part, I was the same way. But the more and more I started honestly asking questions and looking into this and being completely and brutally honest with myself and the information that's in that book and beyond, things started becoming a lot clearer. And it's something that has kept us in bondage, and it continues to do so. And we're going to have to be honest with that. So all of this propaganda, we're going to have to get rid of it. You can't play with it. You can't say, well, I'm taking the Bible away from the Christians and now I'm going to use it because I'm, in the Hebrew world. It don't matter. You're still using the same book. Well, they said that all the people in the Bible were white. Well, guess what? They were all black. They were all black. It don't matter. They don't care. They don't care if they're all white or black. Are you holding on to the narratives? Well, yeah. Okay, then fine. You still losing. They don't care. Are you holding on to the narrative? Yes. Okay, keep it moving. Anyway, let's move on. And that's exactly what we're going to do. All right. So what's the next thing here on this list? Education. Education is very key. What we have done is, on one hand, you remember all the smoke that people like Ron DeSantis was getting. And again, before you get triggered, I do not condone. I do not. I do want you to pay attention to. And it is the fact that there was so much worry and concern about what the government was going to teach our children in these public schools. It is 2023. Education, we should not, as a people, knowing the history that we already know, we should no longer be in a position in 2023 where any of us are dependent on this government to teach our children anything. The fact that black folks got so triggered by what DeSantis and any other conservative or liberal, whatever, is teaching in these schools, what it shows is just how much dependency we still have on this system when it comes to educating our people. Let's take this slow here. It's in 2023. How many chapters of hell do we need to experience before we get the clue that the public school system is the most dangerous place for black children? We still, in 2023, still don't get it. We talk a lot, but we still don't get it. Many of our people still depend on this very racist, this very evil, this very wicked system to educate your future, to raise up and to train your future. We still depend on that. Now, that's not slavery. I don't know what that is. So again, so that you understand, for those that are just coming in, we're going through the steps, okay? What happened in Montgomery? Okay, fine. What we're doing now is, where do we go from there? This is what this whole conversation is about. And I would advise you, if you missed the first part, please watch the whole thing. Okay? Anyway, education is very key, and it's something that we need to take control of. And that's something that we have helped to do on this platform, trying to, getting together with people who are homeschoolers, Black folks who are experts in that field, know what they're talking about, and have done this stuff for years, and gathering other Black parents together so that they can build and they can expand, so that we can have our own educational resources, our own educational networks. That's what we've done. And not just us, but many other people have done that and been doing it before us and will continue to do it. But there has to be a massive exodus of Black children out of the public school system if you are serious about winning. Because there's no way in the world, I have never seen a battle plan in history where there's an agreement where the people that you're battling against are educating your children. What kind of outcome do you expect is going to happen with that? If they are educating your children, that means when your children get of age, they are going to repeat what was taught to them by the very enemy that you say is your enemy. How in the world does that even add up? How does that even make any kind of sense? That makes no sense at all. So if any of you at the sound of my voice, if you have children that are still in the public school system, I know we're getting into the beginning of the school year, you need to work as if your life depended on it, because it does, to find ways to get your children completely out of the public school system. The government should not be educating your children at all. I'm going to say that again. The government of this land should not be educating your children at all, because you know too much. We learn too much. We've been through too much. And the fact that in 2023, we are still dependent on this system to educate our children is a shame, is a disgrace, and it's a recipe for complete and utter disaster. So when it comes to education, we have to control the narrative. When it comes to education, that is something that we immediately got to take over that. You don't need to build schools like, you got people like Dr. Umar, who's continuously raising up money to build this school up or whatever. And I applaud him for the effort and trying to do that. But you don't need to do that. We all got homes. Many of us got apartments and things like that. Now we can do things virtually. You can build networks. You can build things like that. Some of y'all got an entire collection of books in your house. In your little network, you may not have children, but you may have an entire collection of books that you've collected over the years. And you could say, you know what? The city closed the city library, but Uncle Joe, he got 20,000 books that he's amassed over the years. And go to Uncle Joe's library and we can connect with him and we can get all the books that we need for our children. We don't need to beg the government to please open up the city library because our people need it. We need a library because if we don't have library, our children are going to go back into drugs and they're going to start shooting. So please open up a library for us. We don't need no library. We got our own library. And many of us got it right in our own household. You can connect with people who need it. Hey, here's the books that I have. How many children out here need access to that? Some of our people got resources such as what? You don't need a school. You don't need to build a whole school. You got people who have years of electronics background that know electronics. And they say, you know what? On my days off, I can teach 10 children on how to build a computer. On my days off, these are things that we've attempted and we've tried ourselves. So I'm not just shooting here. I'm telling you what we've done. We've tried to do. Okay, so these are things that if you want unity, this is what it looks like. All right, so I can go down the list of different things. You got people who know how to cook. You got people who know how to fix cars. You got a whole nine. We don't need their schools for anything. We don't. And this stuff is not hard. But what is hard is learning to work and to trust your people. That's the hardest thing. Because as I said in the beginning of this conversation, most of your enemies are going to look like you. All right, let's move on. So education, that's something that we got to take over. That is something that we got to reclaim. It doesn't mean we got to raise up more black teachers to go into the government school. No, I'm done with that because that don't work. You can have a whole public school run, own, and run and operated by black folks, and it's still a government school. It still ain't working. We talked about the other day. What's his name? LeBron James. Do you know that in the past 3 years since the opening of the school, not one of his students has done well? They have not even made the states. They have not been able to pass the state exam when it comes to mathematics. That's just cold, hard facts, family. And part of it is because his school is working in partnership with the government. What kind of outcome do you expect with that? Anyway, healthcare. This is a whole nother situation here. This is something that I'm telling you, I have noticed this. I don't know if many of you have noticed this, but I've certainly have been noticing this over the several years now. Anytime I go into the grocery store and I go into the market, I see too many of our people, and they ain't even that old, having to ride these carts here, the motorized carts. And like I said, again, I ain't talking about 90-year-old. I'm talking about people I've seen in their late 40s and early 50s. Riding these carts. Now, if you got to ride it, you got to ride it. So I'm not shaming you if you got to ride these things. Okay, I'm not. Please don't take it that way. But what it speaks of is that our health, for the most part, is something that we seriously have to and we must address and take control over that. And in order to do that, we have to have a mindset that excludes government interaction at every turn. I do not no longer want to work with the government. I don't want to work with any kind of a medical association that has a partnership or is getting funding from governments. I don't want to do that anymore because we have too much access to information, too much access to resources where, quite honestly, most of the time for the ailments that our people suffer from, we don't need the government for any of that. We don't. One of the things that we've done on this platform, again, is two things. One, we created a group of people who are herbalists. We provided access to someone who is a licensed herbalist, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot the actual name, but she, teaches foraging and all this other stuff. And we provided that for our people or whatever. Anybody want to come, you can get the training on that so you can learn how to find the medicines and the food that you need right outside of your own backyard. So that any medicine that you need, you don't need to go anywhere else. You don't need, I need the doctor to give me my pills because without my pills, no, you don't. And if you are a person that's dependent on that, then you need to learn how to wean yourself off of that safely. Okay? Safely. But if we expect to start turning the tide when it comes to our health as a people, we're going to have to take serious measures, such as what I'm saying right now, is that we're going to have to wean ourselves and we're going to have to disconnect ourselves off and away from any government medical intervention when it comes to our people. We have to wean ourselves off of it. I know it's very addicting because the pharmaceuticals that they give us is addicting. But we're going to have to wean ourselves out for that. There are times that we have raised, we talked about, the importance of addressing mental health. And I've had some people, you don't need to talk about that because, see, it's just nothing but the blood of Jesus. All we got to do is pray it away. Lay our hands on these people. And that mental illness is just a demon. That's all it is. Just lay your hands on their head and it'll go away. Well, family, let me tell you something right this second. I know many parents who have children that are suffering from things like ADHD. They spend hours laying their hands on children that are suffering from these diseases like that. And they still are dealing with that kind of stuff. What answer do you have for them when that doesn't work? Let's put that mess. Come on now. Let's be real here. And some of my parents right now who have children that are suffering from this kind of stuff, you know what I'm talking about. I feel for these parents because I'm telling you, the stuff that they got to deal with day in and day out and day in and day out, they love their children. But it takes work to raise up children that are dealing and suffering from that kind of stuff. You're going to sit up here online and simply tell them, oh, honey, all you got to do is just, it's a demon. You're just going to have to get rid of it now. You're going to have to lay your hands on it. But what if after you do that, that ain't happening? Well, we got to take initiative, a stronger initiative. What else can we do? What other resources that we have at our disposal? Is it diet? Is it something that they are putting in their bodies that's tied to that? Is it something, are we dealing with parasites? Is it a parasite-based condition? I've heard people say that, they found that people who suffer from this, they have a high level of parasites. I'm not saying that's what it is, but I'm saying there are all kinds of possibilities that are out there that as a people, we have to take the initiative to investigate and look into this stuff ourselves instead of waiting for these doctors. Because I told you, we got some good black doctors out there right now, but a lot of them are on the bag. They're on the payroll and they ain't going to tell you everything. I'm just going to keep it a buck. They ain't going to tell you everything. They're going to tell you what massa tells them to tell you. Honey, just take these pills and keep it moving. Don't ask any questions. We got someone in the chat here. Someone said, if anyone knows of an herb or anything natural, that can cure it, please let me know. I've looked to it and I fasted. I prayed. It's still there. What kind of answer do you have for someone like that? Let's talk real talk here, man. Let's talk real talk about this stuff, man. Got folk out here want to lose their mind over a chair talking about, oh, this is a spiritual moment. Okay, let's bring it down to something tangible. How does that translate to helping an individual like this here? How can we provide some solutions for stuff like this? Do you understand what I'm saying? The good thing is that the answers are out there. We just have to commit ourselves to looking for them. Because I truly believe you look hard enough, you'll find it. If there's already been cures for cancer that they've found, trust me, there's a cure for ADHD. I know it is. We just have to commit ourselves into discovering it. Do you know there are plants and herbs that have been, quote, unquote, undiscovered on the continent of Africa that they still don't know what the heck it is and what it does? I'm trying to tell you what's out there. That's in Africa. Same thing can be said in the Caribbean. Same thing can be said in Central and South America as well. I mean, they got certain plants. They're like, I don't know what this is. I know it just shows up every night. When you start looking into it, it's like, oh, snap, it does this, that, or what. You understand what I'm saying? But it's not just taking an herb. It's a combination of diet and all that other stuff. Healthcare. Healthcare is a big one. I'm trying to keep it short, y'all, to the point. Hope you're getting something out of this. Healthcare. What's another issue in the area of healthcare? Well, you know, most of us, we are in a westernized culture, which means that that a lot of the foods that we're ingesting and we're taking are not foods that are conducive for our bodies. So a lot of food that we're getting and we're eating has things that are added to it that is making us bigger and fatter and more unhealthy. So you see a lot of us out here, you know, we like, yeah, look at her, she thick and all this other stuff. And we like talking about that. But on the real, if you're going to fight a battle, a real battle, are you healthy enough to do it? Can you amass a real battle and you are 100, 200 pounds overweight? Let's real talk. I'm not trying to shame folks who are overweight. I'm overweight, okay? So I'm in the same club. If you are reasonably healthy, I'm talking about like you ain't got no handicap, like you're in a wheelchair, of course, this don't apply to you, okay? If you got some serious and severe knee issues, this clearly doesn't apply to you. I'm talking about the regular Joe, the regular Jane out here. You just haven't been in the gym in a moment. Can you go up the steps without being winded? See, if you want to talk about war, you want to talk about battle, then the people who are doing the warring, the people who are doing the battling, you got to be healthy. You understand what I'm saying? You got to be going to the gym. If you're not going to the gym, make you a home gym. If you don't have the money to get the weights, can get some books and start lifting those. Do something. You understand what I'm saying? You got to get yourself healthy. You understand what I'm saying? Do what you can. But you got to take your health priority. It's got to be a priority. Going up, down the steps, do something. And that's what I'm doing. I'm over 50 right now. And I said, listen, I see my daughter, she going to the gym. Guess what? I'm going to start going to the gym too. I may be over 50, but guess what? I'm going to go right up there and I'm doing my thing too. I'm going to go up there. I may not be going, ooh, I ain't doing all that. I ain't trying to impress nobody. I'm just trying to make sure that I ain't winded just taking a few steps going up the steps. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because if I'm like that, I am in no condition to defend my family. Because you got a lot of big people out here talking about, I'm going to defend my family. I got a gun, and you about big as a house, and all you got is a gun. What if you got to chase somebody down? Can you do that? Or you going to be falling out and rolling all over the place because you can't catch up? What if you got to raise some crops? What if there's things that you got to do that's manual labor? Can you keep up? You understand what I'm saying? So our health must be, if you're in a war mindset, a battle mindset, your body needs to reflect it. Now, again, for our people on handicap, for our people who got some other medical, issues that, it's a little bit more impossible. Obviously, this doesn't apply to you. We understand that. But the things that you can do, you should be doing. You know the areas that you can be working on, and you need to be working on that. You understand what I'm saying? We got to wean ourselves off of depending on Mr. Charlie or Dr. Charlie to take care of you. What battle plan have you ever seen in history where the enemy has made an agreement to take care of your people? See, I literally don't understand this when I talk about it. I literally don't get the logic and the science behind this. I don't. Maybe someone can enlighten me in the chat. I don't understand. I've never seen a battle strategy where the enemy has made an agreement with you that he's going to give your people health care so that you can be taken care of and you can live a quote unquote healthy life. How many of our people have you seen go to the doctors for years and years and years and still are dealing with some of the same stuff? Two of the things that we've committed on this platform is to destroy diabetes and to destroy high blood pressure. I've been saying this for a good minute. For those of you who've been following us, you know we've been saying this. And we have been already seeing signs of people getting restored in these areas. not because you subscribe to my secret channel where you got to pay me $50, $100, $200 a month, and I'm going to give you the secret codes on how to do this and that to hear my secret teachings. No. One of the things we did on our platform on Threema is that we said, listen, people who have the skill set, the knowledge, the understanding on how to wean, people who need help in, let's say, going from, let's say, being dependent on the pharmaceutical stuff and switching over to herbs and also switching over to cleaning up your diet. We're gonna have we're gonna have something set up to where you can be partnered with someone that can help put together a plan for you, something that you can follow so that you can make the adjustments. It's not just we're gonna just tell you and that's done. No, you're gonna have someone that's gonna walk with you through the process to help you to make the adjustment. Because see, this is the kind of work and strategy it takes. You understand what I'm saying? When it comes to helping our people wean off of this stuff. But we can't do everything. We just can't. It's impossible. So there's got to be a serious, very intentional thing where we say no more to depending on this system to take care of our people. Because how many more stories do you need to hear of people suffering from quote unquote side effects from pharmaceuticals and from medical malpractice on our precious sisters who are having a baby and then they end up both of them dead? I'm tired of talking about that. We need to gather up our midwives that are out here that love themselves, number one, and also love these sisters enough to make sure that our sisters who are with children or with child will have a safe and wonderful experience in giving birth. You have many examples where that is happening, but we need a lot more of that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that everything I'm saying is doom and gloom and it ain't happening. You have many positive examples where this is happening. What I'm simply saying is we need more of it. That's what I'm saying. All right. Just trying to stay right on point here. Okay. So diabetes, high blood pressure, these are things that, yes, can be destroyed. They can be annihilated. We don't need their pills to do that because all the pills that they give you is designed to keep you on their stuff. We want our people off of it. Period. You understand what I'm saying? I'm very serious. There's no reason why our people should be suffering from diabetes and high blood pressure in 2023. No reason at all. These are two things that in most cases can be annihilated just like that. But it takes commitment. And it takes getting with people who do know, particularly people who are licensed and have the skill set and the demonstrated track record of doing that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we ain't just talking. I'm saying you got to have people who have that. You understand what I'm saying? And people who aren't scammers either. You know what I mean? Because you got a lot of scammers out here too. Let me see. Almost finished here. I'm going 2 hours. Sorry, y'all. Anyway, defense. What are we defending? When you look at the way when a army is going into battle and how they line up the military, how they line up their soldiers, who they put on the front lines are the men. Okay. Well, so the men, we're putting together the men. You get your strongest men and you put them on the front lines because that is what we are here for. This is how the Most High created us. This is the intellect, the insight that he's given us, is to be the defense of our families and our communities. Men, not gendered confused men. Men. I want to be very clear with that. men. Do you understand what I'm saying? So one of the things that we have to get correct, we got to get cleared up here, is we got to come back to the created conclusion that the Most High established is the man, the woman, and the child. That's the family unit. And if you have a problem with that, then so be it. You just have a problem with that. But the men are to be the ones that are in lead and are defending everything else. That is not the conclusion of the matter. The other side of that isn't that women are in the kitchen and barefoot and pregnant. No. Because the women are right there too. But I'm speaking for the men. Now, there's something that I was sharing with my wife. I'll just share this kind of in very general terms, very, very general terms. What you see happening today out here is when it comes to a lot of this energy that's out here. And I was, like I said, as I sat back, I always like looking at people's reactions and responses to things, right? And just seeing, it's really always fascinating. I'm always like people watching, right? And just particularly our people, and taking note of how we react and respond to things. And when you look at our people, I'll just say society in general. Okay, this is a very general statement, so I'm not just talking black people here. What you see, what happens is, you remember the post that I posted yesterday? It was about that guy will.i.am. I'll pull it up right quick. I'll pull it up very quickly here, because it speaks of a much bigger issue. This is what he said here. Hold on for a second. All right, so y'all familiar with this guy here, will.i.am. He said, coming of age, I didn't have a man in my life, a father in my life to guide me through that. My mom did that, which probably made me ultra feminine. I have no shame in being super feminine. I remember in the 90s, we don't have the support in the LGBT community now that we did then. So growing up in the 90s, we were like, are you gay? Let's see. A lot of people questioned me because I was feminine. I'm still feminine. I sit the way I sit. I act the way I act. My mannerisms are my mom's, he explained. Now, what happens is when the father isn't present, see, a lot of times people want to conclude that if the father isn't present, that means that the male children or whatever, they're going to grow up gay. That's not true. What it means is that when there is a lack of masculine presence in the life of a child, and I'm specifically speaking of males tonight. Females, it applies to you differently, but it's still, you are just as impacted. But just for this part of the conversation, I'm speaking about males. So he's a good example for this. In his case, so when there's a vacancy of masculine presence in the life of a child, a male child, what then happens is there's an overcompensation of feminine energy that this male child will get. Now, sometimes people will look at that and say, well, that means they're just going to turn out gay. That's not true. Sometimes that may be the case. Other times it will show out in many cases, they may not appear or act or be, they may not be gay at all, but they may be very high on the emotional part where it's hard for them. They don't know how to control their emotions. They just all over the place, right? Like all of a sudden, this one thing just sets them off completely. It just go because so you got the feminine energy combined with the lack of the masculine there that's there to say, you know what? Hey, let's calm down here. Let's figure this out. Okay. So yeah, the emotion in reacting to it is justified, but let's figure this out so that we can get a solution. That's the masculine energy coming in. But when the masculine energy isn't there, what happens is you just all over the place. Plus you add the masculine energy, the aggression. Now you done created something, a whole different thing. This is where you get all of this, you got these guys out here that are like, what was it? There's some story that just happened recently, or it happened a while back. Some singer or whatever, her boyfriend shot her in the foot because he felt disrespected. And so now he's going to be in prison, well, at least they're saying right now, for 10 years over that. How many instances we can point to where we got young brothers out here that just go off over some of the most minor of stuff? It's because they, in many cases, are lacking the masculine energy in their lives to teach them how to steward, how to manage that feminine energy, if you will. And like I said, some people get triggered. What are you talking about manage? Exactly. Just like the other way around. Our women, you get that you have the masculine energy. You also got the feminine energy. That's why you got a mother and a father. So both of them have to learn to compensate with one another. Do you understand what I'm saying? And this applies in both cases. If it's a young man, if it's a young woman. You understand what I'm saying? So what's happened, unfortunately, is this. This is how this plays out. So we have a society now where our young men and our young women, you come across somebody that's fine and they look good or whatever, and you just going to just, you know what, they good and stuff. They good people and all that. I love them. I'm just going to go ahead and get married to them, and you get married. And then you get married and not realizing that they are coming with some level of damage that hasn't been addressed, that hasn't been healed. Do you understand what I'm saying? And then what happens is it ends up coming out in the marriage. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's why you have a lot of marriages where they are right now. And what I'm saying to you is that this is something that we got to pay very close attention to. There is a reason, and I'm going to leave it there. There's a reason why when you look at monarchies, when you look at all of these royal families and all of that, do you understand how when you look at these royal families, they ain't going to let just their daughters and sons just marry anybody. Honey, they're going to know, okay, really? You dating so-and-so? Okay, here's the blueprint. Okay, this is his mother. This is his father. His father comes from this person who came from that person, who came from that person, who came from that person. And then the same thing goes the other way around. The mother comes from this person, who comes from that person, who also comes from that person. They got all the details so that when that marriage comes together, you already got the idea and understanding of what to expect. So it's not a Russian roulette when it comes to marriage. Do you understand what I'm saying? So they have standards on how they marry and who they marry. They ain't gonna let nobody just come in if we don't know the father. If the father we don't know where he is, oh, well, then you just ain't gonna be married. You ain't gonna come up in our family. No, sir. No, sir. Mm-mm. You don't know who your mother is? Oh, no, you ain't coming up in my family. Now, am I suggesting that if you don't know who your family, your father and mother is, that you can't get married? No, I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is this is something that we have to take serious. And it is very serious when it comes to marriage and relationships and having that knowledge and understanding of family lineages. Because when you don't have that understanding, when you don't have that knowledge, you don't know what you're connecting yourself to. You don't know what you're bringing yourself into. And like I said, these monarchies and these royal families, they've been known that. In a lot of these cases, they may hate each other, but they're going to make sure they know, okay, who the mother is, who the father is. They're going to know, they're going to have all that information. And what I'm saying is, as a people, that is something, that's an area we're going to have to really look at that. When you're really trying to build legacy, that is something that we're going to have to really look at. This is why it's imperative and important for us to make sure that this is why healthcare is so important, particularly in the area of mental health care and all of that. Some of these people don't even realize the damage that was done because a father wasn't there or a mother wasn't there. They don't realize just what's happening. Now, you may be functional and going out and doing your thing and living your best, but still there's a deficiency there and you need help. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that's something that deserves a much bigger attention and something we can get into in much greater detail at another time. But it is something that we need to look at. And in conclusion, I think I'm finished here, y'all. Let me get back here. So defense. So if you are someone that's listening to me and you consider yourself, you're gender confused or You know, you don't know who exactly you are. You know, I'm this, that, or whatever. If that's your choice in life and that's what you want to be, then that's your choice. I don't hate you. But what I do understand is the gender confused cannot raise a nation. It cannot. Do you understand what I'm saying? I am not saying you got to run people out. You got to disrespect these people. I'm against that 100%. I think you respect people until they give you a reason not to. That doesn't mean you agree with what they're doing. It just means that you respect them as human beings. I encounter people who are about that life a lot. And I do what if it's something I got to get done, if it's at a business or restaurant or whatever, just, we conduct business and then keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? It's simple for me. I ain't up there grimacing at them and spitting on them and talking about how dare you, don't you know you got to preaching at them and all that. No. Now we, if our paths cross in a different environment, a different situation, and conversations open up where we can talk about certain things, and then I'll get into that. But I ain't, no, I don't need to do all that. I ain't got to preach to them, and neither do they got to preach to me. You understand what I'm saying? But when I'm talking about building lasting legacies and building a series of winning and victory as a community, as a people, one of the things that cannot be a part of that equation is this, well, I'm a man, but I'm really a woman, or I'm a woman, I'm really a man, that kind of foolishness. That cannot be taking the lead, period. So defense, we got to have our men there. And then we also got to have our women there as well. And teaching our men and women how to love and respect and cherish one another. There's got to be campaigns where we're investing in that as well. All this stuff that you're seeing on social media where people going in on each other, talking about black women ain't this and black men ain't doing all this other stuff. We gotta, this is a real, it's outpouring of what was dropped during a lot of these people's childhoods. It's just an outpouring of that because nobody's ever taught them. So now they turn to social media and just let it all out. So we have to commit ourselves into investing and building with people who have been damaged in this area, who want help, because there's a lot of people who don't want help. My heart, and my wife will tell you, is I would love to see some type of, when I say platform, I'm not talking about no app, but I really would like to see something. This is something I've been really thinking about for a long time, is some kind of way where we can get our men who got a good head on their shoulders, our women who got a good head on their shoulders, and trying to figure out how we can get these groups together. The ones that are, you about that, you're doing good. You know what I'm saying? You're doing everything you're supposed to be doing. Maybe you just didn't meet the right one. But creating some type of platform or atmosphere, I don't know. I don't know how that would look, where our people can get together, and but we also teach things, such as how to show love and respect or whatever to your spouse, and understanding your spouse, all that kind of stuff. I would love to do that kind of stuff. And there are people out there that do that kind of stuff, but we definitely would like to contribute to that in some kind of way. So that's something that's always been in the back of my mind, and trying to figure that out, because that is something sorely needed. I'm not talking about these old dating little things that you see on TikTok. I'm talking about real, because we got a lot of good men. We got a lot of good women out here that are doing everything that they need to be doing and are very responsible and aren't out here twerking and doing all this kind of foolishness. They just right now at a stage where they really want to meet that person so that they can build a life. And we need to invest in that instead of putting all this energy in tearing each other down. You know what I'm saying? So what's the mission? And this is it. I'm done. The mission is plain and simple. The mission is this. It's protecting this, what you see on your screen. This is the mission. This is where it begins. It doesn't begin with a chair. It does not begin with, what we saw the other day and, it's the Most High and all these other all these other interpretations that's out here. It begins with a commitment in protecting this and teaching our people to value this once again. Because once we begin to value this and see the importance of this, then that is the road to building networks that are focused on sustainability and moving us forward as a people. This is how it works. It doesn't work with these flash in the pan things where you got all these silly memes and stuff going on. You understand what I'm saying? It doesn't start with that. Legacy building doesn't start on the internet. It starts in your house. Let me say that again. Legacy building does not start on the internet. Legacy building a lot of times starts in an atmosphere where nobody sees it except you and the people that you're building with. You don't need the internet. You don't need cameras when you're legacy building. It starts with learning simple things such as how to communicate with people, around you. You know what I mean? Learning how to determine who's your enemies versus who are your allies. Do you understand what I'm saying? Focusing on your health care and education and all that stuff. That's where all of that begins. And everything that I covered in this broadcast this evening, you don't need to be on social media to do any of this stuff. And we don't have to give all of our business to these platforms that we don't own or control. So family, again, I know this was a lot longer than I thought it would go, but I wanted to kind of build on the video that I did the other day, just to give a more holistic view on what it takes to build a campaign on success and winning in your own personal life. And like I said, again, what took place in Montgomery, our people retaliating against white people, acting a fool, coming against us, I applaud those folks for standing up and doing something. But for us to sit here and to think and to try to compare this to some type of spiritual moment where, where all of a sudden now there's just going to be a dust cloud that comes over and all of a sudden we're going to be working together all of a sudden, I think that's just a little bit too much, to be quite honest. It's created a lot of memes. We've got a lot of laughs out of it, but on a serious note, there are people out here who have been about the work for a very long time, who have been looking for a tenth of the energy that we have put together when it comes to this whole situation here. I'm going to give you two examples and I am completely done here. I promise you. It's right here. Hold on. Two quick examples. Years ago in Philadelphia, the situation in Philadelphia was so bad when it comes to violence, gun violence, all that stuff. The police commissioner at that time, which was a black man, he said, listen, you guys, talking about the community, you guys, we're damned if we do, damned if we don't. In other words, if we show up, then you accuse us of police brutality. In some cases it was. If we don't show up, you say that we don't care about the community. So right now we're in an impasse. What we need right now are the black men. We're asking for black men to show up, and we need for y'all to come together, and you can partner with us with the police department so that we can, come up with a program where, you guys can do patrolling the streets in the community so that we can get this crime down. So the knuckleheads that are out here that are making it bad for a lot of our good people that are in these communities, we got some black men that are in the streets and are making a difference. And the first night that they did the call, they did it at a church. I believe it was at Deliverance Church. Someone, my Philly people out there, y'all can correct me, but I believe it was either at Deliverance Church or Sullivan's Church. I can't, Leon Sullivan's, one of the two. Anyways, one of the large churches, and I believe it was like in North Philly. The place was packed. And then they said, okay, it's time for application now. Now we're going to hit out in the streets. I would say under a month, that thing it dwindled very quickly. Why? Because a lot of our people lacked the understanding or the willpower to put in the hard work to do this. If this thing was successful, I want you to think about this, and I know I've been long here tonight, But I want you to really wrap your head around this for a second. If we had 10,000 black men on the streets of Philadelphia at that point who stayed committed to that, the city of Philadelphia as we know it, we would be occupying Philadelphia. We would be running things in Philadelphia. There would be no person elected unless we had some say-so in it. Do you understand what I'm saying? You still will have some crazy folks living in the city because you always going to have some crazies and some nutballs and stuff in there. But it would be known that in Philly, you can't get away with that kind of stuff. But the problem is that for many of our people, unfortunately, and I'm just being real with this, when it comes to putting in the hard work, where, like my person just said here, Empowered Selfishness TV, what they said, building in silence. A lot of people don't want to build in silence. They want to build on Instagram. They want to build on TikTok. Or they want to build where they know they're getting a bag out of it. And I have found more scammers in these arenas where they'll say, well, I'm about helping my people, and they turn out to be scammers. Now, again, I'm not saying all of it is the case, because that's not true. But I'm telling you from the many stories that I have come across over the years of good people who poured out their hearts and their own pockets to make a difference and to change the narrative. And they had to give up and go back into corporate America. Why? Because the support was not there. People decide to just let it go. See, this is the perspective when I look at this whole situation, like I said, that we were just talking about, this whole thing that happened, river thing and all that. This is the perspective I'm looking at or looking from. Because I know I've seen and I know of a lot of dear, precious black folks who've dreamed about having this kind of support when it comes to making a sustaining difference amongst our people, and had to give up because people are just like, they show up, get a few pictures, and they leave because the commitment isn't there. You understand what I'm saying? That's real talk. And it's sad, but it's real. The other thing is, what was it here? Because I want to show you, we have some positive examples out of here. You got people out here, just do a search for, Black Men to Boys or something like that, organizations. You could do a search online. You'll find many of them. Many organizations where black men in this country are pouring of themselves into young black men. There's many of them. Many times they may not get the fanfare that you think they should get or whatever. Every now and then they'll show up on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or whatever. But most of the time they are doing the work in silence. So like I said, again, I want to be very clear with that. Also with our women, you have women out here who have been working with young women for years. You may not heard or seen of them. They may not go viral, but you have many examples where you do have people who are doing the work. But what I will tell you is that there's not enough of them. That's the truth. That's where I'm getting at. And a lot of these people are begging for people like you and people like me for help. You understand what I'm saying? So that the wins are sustainable. The wins are something that we can build on. You want to talk about Black Wall Street? This is the ingredients. These are the things that Black Wall Street had. Black Wall Street just wasn't a string of stores. It was a community. You can't spell community without unity. And unity isn't just a bunch of black people in a room. Unity is when you have a united purpose and you're working together, but at the same time, you have a stern commitment against foolishness as well. And you have the courage enough to call it out for what it is and who it is. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's what community is about. And when we look at Black Wall Street or some of these other examples, wonderful examples that we have in our history, that is why a lot of these examples, they were very successful, because they learned how to work as a unit. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so that's the much bigger picture that we have to look at. And like I said, again, I just found it very sad and quite unfortunate, just the other day, trying to bring that and making that point. The amount of folks, and I'm talking in my case, in this particular case, it was mostly Black women, I'm just being honest, that were coming at me because they did not want to have that conversation. I had 2 grown people, at least I think they were grown. They said, can't you just let us have some fun? I'm not lying. Can't you just let us enjoy the moment? Can't you just let us have some fun? I'm sorry. I thought we were in a war. So this is what it's going to take, family. So if you want to go back and look at this video again and take notes or whatever, you do whatever at this point. I told my wife, I looked at her the other day, I said, I'm done. I really am. There are a lot of things that I wish I could share on this platform, in terms of what's happening right now economically. I mean, literally right now. Things that if you don't make moves right now and make changes right now, you are going to be screwed over the next couple of years, that kind of thing. And I ain't talking about something spooky and scary and hyping you up kind of nonsense. I'm talking about real things that are going down right now. And there's things that it requires real conversation, but I'm done. I said, you know what? I'm going to leave those conversations for my own household, because I have spent a great deal of time giving a lot of information when it comes to things like that. And unfortunately, what I've seen in my own experience is that in most cases, it just zoop and it just goes right over a lot of people's heads. I'm not saying nobody's getting it, but I'm just saying I'm going to put my energy where I can get the most results. And that's going to be in my own house. I'm going to continue to do it. I've been doing it, but I'm going to continue to do that. I love my people and I'm going to do everything I can, but I have to devote even a greater, especially in these days and times right now, energy here in my house. And so there's changes that I'm making right now. And I'm just like, for example, on BondTube, how we have movie night. I'm done with movie night. I'm being honest with you, because too many of our people are choosing to live in a movie and not live in reality. We'll still have some movies that we'll upload and put up there. That ain't going to change. BondTube will still be up there. But quite honestly, I'm done with it, because we have to move from living in a movie night and working wise day. Do you understand what I'm saying? So anyway, I hope you guys got something out of this. It's a lot of information. Again, this is another one of those things straight from the heart. And I really hope you got something out of this. And hopefully this provides a little bit more clarity. But I just wanted to make it very clear, at least for us on this platform, we 100% are committed to seeing our people win, succeed, and excel, and to move forward. And we also understand the great commitment it takes to do that. And so what we try to do tonight is to go through some very important points that you need to consider when trying to move forward, okay? And moving and excelling and exceeding. Because as long as you're dependent on this system, you will never win. It's just what it is, family. It's just what it is. And everything that this system offers, you'll never win. You're going to have to learn to break free from that and learn how to build with what he's giving you right here. These 2 hands, right? And the other people that he brings your way. All right, family? That is all I have for you this evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys take care and enjoy the rest of your week, okay? You take care. We love you very much. Take care now.